Ma'am.
All right. All right, I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for August 23rd, 2023 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Beckman? Here. Trustee Dean?
Here.
Trustee Lane?
Here.
Trustee Meisner?
Here.
Trustee Wakeman? She's on Zoom. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Here.
Mayor Austin?
Here. Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve agenda as is.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman? Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Do we have anybody that wants to address the board on anything that is not on the agenda for public comment? I'll go ahead and read. Citizens' comment is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the town board on any items except agenda items for which there is a public hearing. Public comment on the public hearing items will occur during the scheduled public hearing. All comments should be directed to the town board. There's a 3-minute limit per speaker. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. Whoever would like to go first.
I'll take my 3 minutes just to get there.
We'll wait. It's all right.
My name is Gene Camerzel. Address is 22465 State Highway 60, Milliken. I am president of the Big Thomas and Beeline Ditch Company. And unfortunately, we are experiencing some pretty heavy-duty problems with the town of Milliken, and I don't understand why. Our ditch was founded in 1865 when Milliken was Hillsborough, wasn't even Milliken. And it was because of the agriculture industry and the commerce that the ditch promoted that made Milliken. And now we have a situation in June. You probably recall we had those 2 real heavy duty rainstorms, 2 cloudbursts. And the first cloudburst did some erosion about our siphon structure over here where West Rock is on 257 North. It caused some erosion. It caused the shifting of our armoring at our spillway. And I instructed our ditch rider, go rent a backhoe, do the necessary repairs to get our ditch in good shape so the erosion doesn't continue and we have more problems. So we did it, got it fixed. And within, I'm guessing it was 6 days, I think we had our ditch back in shape where we could run water. Well, another 2 days after that, we had the second cloudburst. The first cloudburst was 4 inches, the second one was 5. So that we had to do it all over again. Well, in the interim, we got notification from the town's attorney that I was in violation of not getting the necessary permitting to do the work within the floodplain development plan. And I said, we're not doing development. We're doing repairs on our ditch. And in the meantime, before I started all this, I called the Army Corps of Engineers and I told them what was going on. Do I need to get a permit from you guys? Said, no, if you have an agricultural ditch carrying agriculture water, you're exempted. So to make double sure, I called the EPA. And I called the EPA and I talked to a very cordial lady and she said, you know, under the Clean Water Act, Section 404F, agriculture ditches are exempted. You don't need permitting to do repair work. So we did the second round of repair work, and then we got another notification from your attorney telling us that we could not ignore what the town wanted, and that if I didn't cease and desist, and if I didn't come in and do a retroactive permit, the town was going to issue a citation and fines to the ditch company. And I said, I don't understand this. Our ditch has been here for 158 years. We're not making anything new. All we're doing is the repairs on what's been existing. To this date, we've run up over $7,000 in attorney fees, our attorney answering your attorney, and we don't have that kind of money to throw away with attorneys. So I'm here inquiring from you, what is it that we need to do that is beyond the Army Corps of Engineers and the EPA to satisfy the town?
I think I understand the situation, and
Real quick, we just have some supporting documentation that helps our case that irrigation ditch companies are historically typically exempt from.
Sorry, you have to state your name and address. Thank you.
My name's Michelle Orwick. I'm also on the board of the Big Thompson Platte River Ditch Company. And so I just wanted to leave with you some supporting documentation and legislation and FEMA and the Colorado Water Conservation Board to help support our case. Okay. And we need to also clarify that, you know, if Milliken becomes the test case for Colorado, if we become subjected to floodplain permits anytime we have to repair a ditch, that's 60 days worth of irrigation we can't do. Our crops die. And we become the case for the other ditch companies in Colorado. So we have to treat this very carefully. And we would like to work with you very diligently to figure out a way to solve the issue. And so the things I'd like to leave, here's a document from the Colorado Water Conservation Board. This is part of the thing that your National Flood Insurance Protection Program is based on. There's a section under scope. Item 3, dam failure floodplain. These rules, the rules and regulations for regulatory floodplains in Colorado, from the Colorado Water Conservancy Board. These rules do not apply to the identification of areas potentially inundated by the catastrophic or sudden failure of any man-made structures such as dams, canals, irrigation ditches, pipelines, and other channels. So our guidance as a ditch board says we need to keep our ditch under repair, and we should be able to do that. Okay, so let me give you another document. This is what he mentioned earlier from the Army Corps of Engineers, which gives guidance to FEMA to provide reasonable and predictable national approach to conducting exemption determination for the construction and maintenance of irrigation ditches, Section 404 of the Clean Water Act. It does not specifically address FEMA, but it also gives credence to the idea that ditch companies, by their nature, tend to be exempt from federal regulation. Okay, and then I just have a couple more. I'll try and be quick here. So this issue has not yet come up in the state of Colorado. It's something that FEMA hasn't yet addressed. But in the state of Idaho, they've had to start dealing with this. And so FEMA has advised the state of Idaho that statutory definition of development, which is really what this is repairing erosion on an irrigation ditch structure involving fill. Is that considered development or not? So FEMA has advised the state of Idaho that its statutory definition of development is not consistent with federal law, and that a blanket exclusion for operation, maintenance, repairs related to ditch companies by the blanket exemption in Idaho. They tried to put a blanket exemption for ditch companies, that maybe some of those activities might be going unpermitted. So what they did was they set up an arrangement with the state of Idaho that talked about permit guidance. And in there, they talk about activities that qualify as operation, cleaning, maintenance, or repair are by definition not development, and therefore do not require NFIP, local community permitting. And I think logically one would say trying to repair some erosion from huge rain bursts is not development in the floodplain. So it should not require 90 days to wait for a floodplain permit process. And so we were hoping that we could bring this to the attention of the board, maybe save us both some money and not have to keep trying to do this through lawyers. So I'd recommend that you look at what Idaho did and see if we can maybe get some direction from them.
Okay,
And
if
then
you could
I'll
give
just
the
leave this with you.
documentation to our town attorney,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you.
So for digestion, I think I understand the issue that you have here.
Okay.
Would direct the town administrator to pull the information together, and maybe we can review it at the next board meeting as to the reason for the permitting, and is this an exception? Because it seems that we need to come to a decision.
Mayor Austin, just so that you're aware, we actually did send a letter to the attorney representing the ditch company inviting them to provide any authority that indicates that these rules don't apply. So this is the first that we've gotten. That letter went out on August 4th. And just one other point is, this was done by Jed Scott in our office because he's got some knowledge in that area. I do believe this is not all related to the cloudburst that we've experienced this year, but there was also some 22 work that was done that was not permitted. But we will definitely take this into account. I'm pretty confident that Jed's aware of what's going on in Idaho, but I'll have a discussion with him tomorrow about it.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, the original fill that was done last year, it's my understanding it was to help repair the spillway that was in fact damaged in 2013, but we've only just now been able to complete the repairs on that. So that specific work was also specifically related to a catastrophic event involving floodwater. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Further, in your own municipal code, Milliken Municipal Code, it's under your section 16.4-55, abrogation and greater restrictions. It says this article is not intended to repeal, abrogate, or impair any existing easement, covenant, or deeded restrictions. However, where this article and another article, easement, covenant, or deed restriction conflict or overlap, whichever imposes the more stringent restrictions shall prevail. Then it goes on in under section 16.6-60, interpretation. In the interpretation and application of this article, all provisions shall be deemed neither to limit nor repeal any other powers granted herein under state statutes. We have a vetted easement for our ditch, for the maintenance of our ditch. And I don't understand where your municipal code says you're not going to do it, and here you're demanding that we get a permit, and basically we're giving away our autonomy by agreeing to be take it out a permit. And like Michelle said, a lot of times you'll have a situation develop. As a good example, we had a year ago, a gopher hole all of a sudden popped open. And if we wouldn't have got on it immediately, we'd have blown out the whole ditch. And you don't have time. I don't have time to come down here and ask for a permit and have some politician give me a permit before we fix it. You got to do it when you got to do it.
Understood.
And I see Gene Wagner is behind me here. Gene is also on our board.
Hello, Ms. Wagner. Okay.
I'll hobble away. Don't go too far. I just wanted to add a couple of things, and Gene talked about the rainstorms we had. We've purposely added some trash grates to our ditch. One is over here by the siphon. Another one is probably another 2 miles upstream because. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. But even with just normal rainstorms, we get trash out of the river that comes down the ditch. And we put those in more or less to go ahead and protect our head gates and so that we don't have overflowing ditches like we had. And like Jean and Michelle said, here at our siphon, it overflowed. It didn't damage the structure, it just washed some dirt away. But I think Michelle, she called me that night, and it was like 9:45, and she says, hey, she says, the ditch is about ready to overflow here in Milliken, where south of where she lives. And we got a hold of the ditch right away and got the ditch shut off. But if it had not overflowed up here at our siphon, chances are probably pretty good that it would have overflown here in town somewhere because of the trash that was coming down, not out of the river necessarily, but all the fields and stuff. It all built up. And
Yeah.
Spillways are incredibly important.
right.
Yeah, we had a lot of problems with stuff coming down the water during the
Yes.
flooding, so we understand.
Yes, and our ditch rider, I mean, it's like he rides the ditch every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on what's going on with the Big Thompson River. And if there's trash on those racks, they got to be cleaned off because we know it doesn't take much to go ahead and cause a problem, not only for us, but for anybody around. So it's a kind of thing where we got to get a permit to go ahead and clean trash off of our racks. If you read the code, that's what it says. That makes no sense. So I think we need to have some common sense approach to this. I mean, I think we've been good stewards. People before us have been good stewards of this ditch, and we've repaired things, and we've taken care of the ditch. And that's always been our main goal, is make sure that things are safe. So again, we'd hope that the town of Milliken would reconsider.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down tonight.
Sure.
Okay. Are there any other citizens' comments? Okay, wrapping those up. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Let's see here. Nope, sorry. We are down to a swearing-in ceremony. Carrie Weinbarger, Town Clerk.
I think Chief would like to start with a few words, if you don't mind.
Chief Garcia is going to start with the swearing-in. First swearing-in will be our new code enforcement officer, Amber Bond Campbell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Tonight we want to introduce to you all and the Board of Trustees the newest members of our police department and the town of Milliken team. First, as you mentioned, our newest code enforcement officer, community service officer, Amber Bond Campbell. She's a Colorado native. She moved from living in Loveland for 37 years to now living in Milliken. Got here September of 2022 with her husband and their 2 fur baby girls. She takes pride in being involved in her community and is eager to be part of the Milliken Police Department as a community service and code enforcement officer.
I, Amber Bond Campbell, do solemnly affirm that I will support and enforce the Constitution and laws of the United States of America and the state of Colorado and the ordinances of the town of Milliken and shall faithfully perform to the best of my abilities the duties of a code enforcement officer for the town of Milliken.
Don't poke yourself.
Well, Amber, welcome aboard, and I hope you report to work tomorrow because I've got some things for you to do.
It's okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Honorary.
Oh, my goodness.
All righty.
All right, Chief Garcia, I think next we have Police Officer Robert Gregg.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Robert is an experienced law enforcement officer. He began his career in 2020 working on patrol and in the jail with the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. Upon receiving his post-certification through Ames Community College in 2019, it was there Robert found his passion for working with and helping his community. Robert was born in Aurora, Colorado, and moved to northern Colorado when he was young and remained in the area to this day. He married his high school sweetheart, Leslie, which is in the audience, in November of 2016. Robert believes in community policing and is very eager to begin this next chapter with the Milliken Police Department.
Okay.
Raise your hand. I state your name.
I, Robert Gregg,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances of the town of
and
Milliken,
the ordinance of the town of Milliken,
and shall faithfully perform
and shall faithfully perform
to the best of my abilities
to the best of my abilities
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
for the town of Milliken.
for the town of Milliken.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Careful.
Well, he's got on a vest for there.
That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, there you go.
Welcome.
Welcome, man.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty. And next up, we have the swearing in of a new Housing Authority member, Patty York. Mrs. York.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name. I, Patty York. Do solemnly affirm.
Do solemnly affirm
That I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and shall faithfully perform
and shall safely perform
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
the duties of the Housing Authority
the duties of the Housing Authority
of the town of Milliken.
of the town of Milliken.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard, Mrs. York. All right. Nice to see some new personnel on board. Is there any discussion or comments on the meeting minutes of our meeting on July 26, 2023? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve minutes of July 26th.
6.
June.
No, it does say June 28th. It's actually July 26th.
Okay. Approval of minutes from July 26, 2023.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman. Trustee Beckman.
Yes.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Do we have any questions on the paid list of bills?
No.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the town administrator's report. Administrator Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a while since we've all met, so I was trying to remember everything that had occurred in the last few weeks, but these are highlights. Beef and Bean Day, of course. It was, once again, a great event. I'd like to thank the Milliken Events Committee for putting this on for their town and staff that worked very hard. all staff appeared, and everyone worked very hard for the time that they were there on that day and prior, because Milliken staff helps start setting things up 2 days prior to the actual event. So I want to say thank you to all of them and the events committee. As I was mentioning during our work session today, Denise Bradshaw, who is with the Weld County Office of Emergency Management, reached out to our streets director, John Rabus, and this was in regard to the flooding that occurred south of town when we had the storm events. There is a potential that we may be eligible for a mitigation project grant. As I indicated earlier, the cost share for this project is 25% local, and it can be in kind, and 75% federal funding. I will keep you informed as we learn more. It sounded like they would be about a month out in order to meet with us, so keep you up to date. The Tuesday, August 22nd meeting regarding the Loveland Ready Mix Hall project haul route off of Weld County Road 48.5 and Highway 257 was canceled on Monday. Weld County Public Works had met with Loveland Ready Mix on August 14th and have requested Loveland Ready Mix to file a state highway access permit application with CDOT. Weld County Public Works appears to be nudging Loveland Ready Mix and PDC Energy's hands to submit the access routes for both of these projects to head east off of 48.5 and north on the Highway 257. So that'll be making a left-hand turn onto Highway 257. Both of these matters will be going before the Board of County Commissioners in the near future. I would recommend that our board members, along with key staff, attend these public hearings. I believe this route for either project to be unsafe for not only our residents, but for those that will be passing through Milliken. On the good news side, staff met with representatives from Comcast regarding the deployment plan for Comcast. And we will be bringing the franchise agreement to the board in the upcoming month, probably the last meeting of September. Franchise agreements require 2 readings, so it'll be that second meeting in September and I believe the first meeting in October. So very excited to be having another provider in town to give our residents another choice for internet communications and so forth. So deployment on this, I believe, and I don't see, Pepper or John, do you recall if they were hoping to have the backbone in through town by the end of 2023? Okay, it could be the end of 2024. It's getting a little late for 2023. Right. Right. So the route that they'll have to take is through Meade, through Berthoud, through Johnstown to us.
Okay.
So, and then I think they'll start lighting up the system sometime in early 2025.
Might take more.
So it's a little ways off, but it's on its way.
Okay.
That's all I have. Unless anybody has any questions.
I think we should urge citizens to attend those Weld County meetings as well. That many trucks loaded with aggregate going up 257 is a safety concern for everybody. So.
Well, and also, as I pointed out during the work session, which I did not say earlier, we have one entrance and exit out of our Mad Russian subdivision, which is off of 257. And I think it's going to create a major congestion area due to the slower moving trucks and the vehicles behind them because they also have to move very slow. So either direction may create a problem.
Understood.
What are the estimated truck trips
per day from Loveland Ready Mix?
Was it 54?
I believe it, yeah.
Sorry, it was not.
8 an hour.
Okay.
8 an hour, so.
I don't have that exact information with me. For some reason, it seemed like 54 per day, but I can get that for you and bring it to the next meeting.
And the potential for the PDC
Don't,
truck traffic?
I would have to find that out as well.
Yeah, because I think that would be very telling as far as them coming out of 48 and a half, making a left turn, cross traffic to go up the hill. And it would depend on how many trucks. I mean, one would be not a big deal, maybe, but 100 or 150, that's a big deal.
Correct.
Well,
Pepper, do you have PDC's traffic? So we can at least answer that one. I saw that she had her the
Yeah.
traffic impact study with her.
Before we go to PDC, though, those trucks from Loveland Ready Mix, those are 40-ton trucks, correct?
Those are 40-ton trucks.
40-ton trucks loaded with aggregate.
And going up an almost 10% grade from that point up to the top of the hill.
And then PDC, Pepper?
PDC indicates that they have an average daily vehicle trips of 452. 226 in and 226 out. So 54 during AM peak hours and 36 total vehicle trips during PM peak hours.
Now, are they talking about those, like the stand trucks?
I did not find that information in the few pages that I printed out. The traffic study was like 96 pages, so I apologize I didn't print the whole thing. I imagine they'll be similar to the ones that Milliken experienced on 46 when they built the pad site over on former Bernhardt property. So it could vary anywhere between, long rigs to the pickup trucks and that type of thing, but I can bring that back to you.
Any other questions from board members?
And again, the biggest concern on this is safety. Safety for our residents, safety for those passing through our town.
Okay. Thank you very much for the update and the supplemental information, Pepper. Okay, moving on to the action item. We've got a public hearing for a site plan for an outdoor storage of trucks and trailers. Pepper McClanahan, Community Development Director. Since this is a public hearing, the time is 7:02, and I'm going to open the public hearing.
Mayor and members of the Board of Trustees, before you tonight is a site plan for, it's basically for parking for outdoor storage of 15 tractor, semi trucks and trailers. This will be on parts of lots in block 23 and 24. It's located north of Cherry Street and east of an unconstructed portion of Josephine. It's platted but not constructed. The property is zoned medium industrial, and outdoor storage with screening is permitted. That's the closest use that applies to the type of use that the applicant is requesting. Surrounding land uses to the north is block 24. It's a town of Milliken. It's a great Denver and Great Western Railroad right-of-way. To the west is block 18, town of Milliken. That's the Evergreen Manufactured Home Park. It's zoned manufactured home community district. There's also an undeveloped portion of property to the west that's zoned medium industrial. To the south is the Iron Horse subdivision. It's vacant. That's the property that the town acquired through a FEMA grant after the 2013 flood. It's in the mixed-use commercial downtown zoning district. South on the property is also the Big Thompson and Platte River Ditch. To the east is block 25. That is the Lawn Police landscaping. It's an industrial use and it's zoned medium industrial. The notices were provided to surrounding property owners within 300 feet of the proposed use on July 27th, and it was also published in the Johnstown Breeze on July 27th. The property was posted with a notice of pending action on August 1st. All of that's in conjunction and in compliance with our requirements in code. The property owner was cited for noncompliance with the site plan process in October of 2022. There were a number of vehicles and things parked on the property. The property owner has subsequently removed the majority of those uses and submitted a site plan application to come into compliance. A portion of the property is located within the 500-year floodplain or the 0.2% chance of annual flooding. The applicant indicates that no hazardous materials that require MSDS sheets will be transported or stored on the site, and therefore there is no requirement to follow floodplain rules and regulations for portions of the property that are mapped in the mapped 500-year flood hazard area per our certified floodplain manager. The project does not include any grading or refilling. It also doesn't really include any surfacing. The property is partially surfaced with a rotomill type surface. Striped parking spaces will not be included. Water and wastewater service are not available at this property due to the location of the Platte River, Big Thompson Platte River ditch bordering the property to the south. It would make it impractical to be able to get water and sewer underneath. Therefore, the construction of there's no proposed construction of buildings. This simply will be parking. Likewise, because of that, irrigation is restricted. So the applicant is requesting, a modification to the irrigation and a reduction to overall landscaping to include more native grasses and also to retain several existing trees that are on the site and proposed to plant a few more. For review and compliance with findings of fact, staff finds that the application submitted meets the requirements of section 16-6210 and the required documents relative to the project were received and completed. A list of those required documents is in your packet. Staff included a condition of approval that the final site plan document shall meet all of the requirements of the site plan map per section 16.3.370. And staff finds that the parking for the use meets the requirements of section 16.3.220. There will not be a facility or building on the property, so loading requirements per our code will not apply. Staff recommends approval of the site plan and landscape reduction requested subject to the following conditions. Number one, a development agreement in the form approved by the town attorney and signed by the town administrator shall be executed and recorded with the final site plan. Items 2, conditions of approval 2 through 7 deal with changes that need to be made to the site plan to comply with requirements. There are pretty minimal changes and those will be completed on the final site plan before it's recorded. Number 8, prior to any alterations of existing access points onto Cherry Street, the property owner shall apply for a right-of-way permit from the town of Milliken. That's per our requirements and in conjunction and coordination with the construction of Cherry Street and John Rabus. A fence permit is required for both the existing fence material and additional fencing. Number 10, prior to recordation of the final site plan, the applicant shall submit evidence of compliance with the Front Range Fire and Rescue District's referral comments, including access, posting of certified weight on each side of the bridge and crossing at 80,000 pounds to accommodate their fire apparatus, posting of signs that hazardous material storage is not allowed, and a modification on the site plan and installation of emergency egress gate for pedestrian traffic within the perimeter fence that has acceptable panic hardware to the fire district. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing last Wednesday on August 16th. There was no testimony presented except from the applicant. The Planning Commission forwarded a recommendation of approval subject to the conditions of staff. There's a couple of motions available in the staff report, and I'm available for any questions from the board.
Questions from board members, starting with Trustee Wakeman? Trustee Dean?
I have no questions.
Trustee Beckman?
No questions.
Trustee Lane?
I have no questions.
Trustee Meisner?
No, I have no questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I have none.
Okay, what type of fencing material may be used since this is in a floodplain?
Actually, there's no restriction on the type of fencing. The proposed fencing is wrought iron.
And this won't impact the ditch behind it, their ability to clean that ditch?
The location of the fence on the site plan clears the ditch. It will be north, and it'll be north of the ditch.
Okay.
How much?
We ran into this problem with Milliken Storage, so I'm just kind of wondering if they'll be able to get their equipment through there.
There is an allowance on the site plan for the ditch that's acknowledged that there's, as well as in their narrative, they acknowledge that the ditch has a step back, if you will, distance from the ditch.
Prescribed easement.
Prescribed easement, yes, thank you.
We needed Gene and Gene to hang out a little longer.
There's one right behind.
Well, Mr. Wagner's still here.
Yeah, how wide is that easement?
Well, it's prescribed, so it isn't recorded, right? And this might be a better question for the applicant. Do you recall what they?
I don't know if the site plan shows a specific distance. It's laid out on that with the survey. It's laid out on there. But I think working together with the ditch company on that's probably the best way to work. Right now, yes, there's a fence up, but a temporary. Temporary scenario that's going to be a permanent. After we apply for our fence permit, probably best to consult with the ditch company to make work for them.
I think that's a great idea.
I do too.
I would
Unless you like to
suggest-
put fences up and take them down.
I would suggest adding that as a condition of
Get in there
approval.
and clean the ditch.
Okay.
Is the wrought iron fence, sorry to come back, is the wrought iron fence for security or is it for blocking the view?
It's for both. There is a part of a wrought iron fence that was installed during the violation process. The location of the trucks where they'll be parked will be set back to the west from the street, and so that is a requirement that it has to be screened from view. So we'll evaluate that when we get a fence permit and make sure that it accommodates that.
Okay. The wrought iron to me sounds open, right? Like you would not screened. I don't know.
And the applicant might better be able to address that when he does his presentation, but it does have to be screened from view.
Okay.
So we will make sure that that fence permit
But
complies.
we do want water to flow through.
Pardon me?
We do want, since part of it's in a floodplain, we want water to flow through the fence.
Yeah, it's in the 500 years, so there's less restrictions on that. We did evaluate that with our CFM, and so it'll be, flow through wouldn't be a bad idea, but they're going to have materials parked on there as well that are close to the 500 year.
I think we just experienced 500 year.
I thought it was about
Yeah.
Probably pretty close there too. Okay, I think board members have any further questions? Opening it for the public for questions.
The applicant is here to address you if you'd like.
Applicant?
Is that all right, Mayor?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Hi, my name is Kip Hefner, and my address is 6233 County Road 52 and a quarter, Johnstown. So anyways, I'm a neighbor to the community down here in Milliken, and just a quick, brief description of my plan, my intention. We saw the property for sale for a while. I was interested in it. It was kind of, looked like maybe a fun potential property of some kind to do something with. I have a small welding business currently, and so we decided, maybe in the future it might be wise to go ahead and pick up something. I've got a lot of friends and a lot of acquaintances that do trucking. So trucking has kind of been the category tonight, it seems like. So no concrete trucks down there though. So, but anyways, we kind of saw a need for that trucking industry and thought, boy, this lot would be perfect. The zoning is correct in that I2 medium industrial. And so we thought, what a neat opportunity to go ahead and try to turn this into a truck facility, maybe help another small business owner, like myself that's in the trucking industry, instead of parking at the truck stop or plugging up, wherever else it is, if they're parked in town trying to avoid a violation or whatever the case is. So anyways, we saw a need for that. And so that's kind of our intent, our goal. The hazardous materials, I know that's a concern with the floodplain. And so that's where, we kind of consulted a couple different directions and just decided no hazardous materials. We're not going to be dealing with the wastewater or what, other oil field, activities that would have that hazardous material, and not just zero in on the oil field. There's a lot of other industries also have the hazardous materials, but we just decided, this lot would be best for, I'm visualizing, the side dumps, belly dumps, low boys, kind of just kind of more of probably the construction industry that needs parking and stuff along that line, in order to run a small trucking business, maybe dump trucks too. I don't know, something along those lines. And so, anyways, that's so yeah, we want to work together. We want to be neighbors. I know I was in violation, and so we want to make things right. We want to move forward, within compliance. And then to answer maybe Trustee Beckham's question a little bit more with that fencing and that screening, it was brought up last week too. We haven't zeroed in exactly what we're thinking on that screening, but what we'd like to do, the wrought iron fence I think is appealing. It has a good look, but then Flatiron Steel sells it is the tin flats. And so you can tech screw like those tin flats to the back of it. Maybe if your wrought iron fence is black and then you were to accent it with like a charcoal color or something behind it, so it's attractive. Try to make it attractive and try to make it appealing. So it doesn't stick out, but still it doesn't. Don't drive by and say, boy, there looks like there's a lot of semis back there. Try to do something to kind of keep your eyes off of the storage. So, and then. The neighbors, obviously, that's important to work together. Just the way that the town was originally set up, there's neighbors in close by in both directions, and so that's obviously a concern, and want to respect that. And so we got a route set up entering and leaving. We're going to have signage there, and we're gonna stay. We're gonna come out. There's gonna be a left only turn, and then we're gonna use Irene as we decided with the traffic review and whatnot. That's the best route to use entering and leaving the property to reduce impact on the neighbors. And so, I guess and that's I think that's about it for I guess the big points. The water, as Pepper brought up, is. Two things there. It is very expensive for me to bore underneath the ditch and to try to get the irrigated landscape to the far part of the property to make up the landscape plan. So there is added responsibility on me as to do this correctly. But we're wanting to use we want to just try to do this natural landscape that's pick some dry grasses, pick some drier trees, pick some drier things, and then for the first couple of years we had a year like this. I don't think we're going to need a whole lot of added water, but we're gonna do what it portable water source, whether that's a water truck or whether that's a larger vessel of some kind to hold the water to make sure we get this vegetation, in the ground and coming up. But do that responsibly so we get some stuff that's going to grow and not I don't know, go with the low maintenance items instead of the heavy items. So, but anyways, that is it for me. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions for me as an individual.
Any questions from the board? No, hearing none. Nice presentation, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Mr. Wagner, do you have a question? You can.
I just have a comment. Pepper's been pretty good about keeping the ditch company in the loop about anything that would go on that would affect the ditch. This one, we've not heard anything about it. Maybe it's too early in the process, I don't know, but I would think the site plan would probably be something that the ditch company ought to sign off on.
Thank you. Could you follow up on that, Ms. Clanahan? Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Just one quick point, Mayor Austin. I think Pepper had suggested that be added as a condition, the cooperation between the applicant and the ditch company.
Yes.
Just so that it's there.
Correct. Good deal. All right, if there's no further comments, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:21. And I'll take a motion on the matter, including the provision for working with the Big Thompson Ditch Board.
I move to approve a site plan for outdoor storage that is screened from view with a reduction in the live planning's requirement for landscaping on portions of Block 23 and 24, Town of Milliken, and subject to the conditions as outlined by staff, specifically to work with the ditch company.
Second.
Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman.
That was a yes.
Trustee Beckman.
Yes.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda, we have consideration and approval for a construction agreement for mill and overlay projects. John Rabus, Streets and Facilities Director.
Good evening. These mill and overlay projects are part of our capital improvements program and our pavement maintenance program. The project locations are County Road 19 from County Road 42 to County Road 40, Quintine Avenue from Highway 60 to Broad Street, and this section of Quintine was not overlaid when the rest of Quintine was overlaid, and that area that was overlaid is from Broad to Inez. And we also have another area on Inez Boulevard from Quintine to the west on Inez that has two patches that we need to mill and overlay. And all three of these sections of roadways are currently under 2 years of remaining service life.
Okay. All right. Questions from the board? Trustee Lane.
I have no questions.
Trustee Meisner.
No, I have no questions.
Trustee Dean.
No questions.
Trustee Beckman.
No questions, thanks.
Trustee Wakeman. No questions. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
I have no questions.
I've gotten good at reading lips. I have no questions, so at this point, we'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign a construction agreement with Asphalt Specialties Inc. for the mill and overlay project on County Road 19, Clinton Avenue and Inez Boulevard for $35.85.
Second.
Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Beckman.
Yes.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
That was an affirmative.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Are there any board reports to come before the board tonight?
Oh, I've got a quick one. I kind of wish I would have been ready when Trustee Dean talked about the CML convention. I really enjoyed, this is my second convention, and since I'm still pretty new at this, it's all a really good, educational learning experience to hear more from all the communities in the state, different speakers on different topics. And one of the ones that I really enjoyed was called Transforming Water-Intensive Landscapes. And I had seen some things happening over in Greeley, and I was wondering what they were doing. They were tearing out grass, perfectly good grass in some of the city parks. And I found out that the reason for that was to replace that water-intensive grass with Bermuda grass, which uses 65% less water. And also, it never dawned on me when I'm driving down city streets, the medians, a lot of these medians that had grass, it's just a waste of water because they're not used. No one uses those medians for any type of recreational purposes. It's just for looks. So they've replaced them with things like mulch or even concrete that's textured and looks nice, or colored concrete. And also in residential areas where you've got the street and then a median and then sidewalk and then people's yards to replace those areas too. And so the whole point of it was in areas where the grass wasn't being used for recreational purposes to replace those with things that didn't take as much water or any water. And also, the other thing about going to these conventions that I really appreciate is spending time with other board members. Like Trustee Dean and I did carpooling. So an hour there, an hour back each day, got to know Trustee Dean a little bit better and talk about topics that we were in some of these sessions either together or we went alone and we kind of bounced some things off of each other. So I just think that they're a real benefit to everyone, and I just wish that more people were able to come. So anyway, it was a really good time, and learned a lot, and I appreciate the city paying for us to be able to attend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other reports? Okay, we have a couple written reports for police department. Be looking forward next month to those code enforcement reports coming. Yep. Got some waist-high weeds in my subdivision. Just thought I'd mention it.
Oh, really quickly, the Beef and Bean Day, one of the booths kind of goes with my topic of the water conservation, and thank you to the Beef and Bean, the board, for inviting the Colorado State University, the Ag Extension Office. There was some really great information there on xeriscaping and on gardening tips, and I really appreciate it. I didn't know this, but if you go to any greenhouse, there's something called Plant Select, and there's this symbol here that you can see that has been approved that saves water and grows the best in our climate. So I thought that was really helpful for planning xeriscaping or gardening or just whatever you're doing, that there's people that have spent the time and the money to research the best plants for our climate. So anyway, learned a lot.
Thank you.
Through Beef and Bean Day. Yeah.
Alrighty. And if there's no further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're out for the night at 7:29.